You know, what I'm saying to you is this. If we take the creation foundation, we believe in God as creator, we understand the book of Genesis as literal historical truth, then we understand our doctrine. We know why we believe in right and wrong. We know why we believe in marriage. God sets the rules. He tells us what's good and what's bad. It's not a matter of our opinion. We have an absolute authority. We know why we wear clothes. We know why there has to be a standard of clothing. We know what life's all about. We understand all these things because we have that foundation for that structure to stand upon. On the other hand, if you remove the creation basis, if you believe that you're just a product of chance, if you believe more and more that science has proved the Bible wrong and evolution's true, who sets the rules? You do. So why not be lawless in that sense? Why not be a homosexual? Isn't that another opinion? Why shouldn't it be a valid opinion? Why not take your clothes off? Why not do what you want with sex? After all, there are no rules except what you make if you can get away with them. When it comes to issues like abortion, well, we're just animals anyway. What does it matter? And consider for a moment the issue of abortion. How many people realise that abortion and evolution really do go hand in hand? The more people were taught you're just an animal, you get rid of spare cats, get rid of spare kids. What's it matter? You're all animals anyway. You have a right to do what you want with your body. Nobody has a right to tell you what to do. You're a product of chance. There's no God. You know, there was a man called Ernest Haeckel who invented a theory many people will remember being taught. When an embryo develops in its mother's womb, it goes through a fish stage with gill slits. Remember being taught that till it becomes human? It was a fraudulent view. He made it up. It's been proven to be fraud. Yet it's still in many universities in our world today. It's still in many schools in our world today. Many abortion clinics use that to justify to the girls, you're just cutting up a fish or a jellyfish. How many people realise that abortion and evolution have gone hand in hand? The increasing popularity of abortion has gone hand in hand with the increasing popularity of evolution. We could look at other issues, such as racism. Do you realise racism and evolution have gone hand in hand? Look at it historically. People who believed in evolution said, because evolution's true, different races in the world have evolved to different levels, therefore there are some people who aren't as advanced as others. And when the white settlers first went, for instance, to Australia, to the state of Tasmania, they lined up across the state in various places and shot every Aboriginal they came to. Why? They're just primitives. They won't understand white man technology. They're products of evolution. In fact, in one of the museums down there in Tasmania, it basically tells people that's why, one of the reasons anyway, that they shot them out. Many of the racist ideas in regard to the Negroes were because of people's understanding of evolution, and they said, oh, the adult Negro, he has the intelligence of only 11 or 12-year-old white person. And these ideas promoted racism. In fact, when we want to look at the root causes of our racist ideas, look at our education system that's teaching people they're products of evolution. When it comes to even issues like communism, Nazism, go back and read about Hitler. He admits he believed in evolution, and what he believed about evolution determined what he did with the Jews. He was just applying survival of the fittest. Nature red in tooth and in claw. We're the superior race, and we're going to eliminate the others. And many commentators since, such as Sir Arthur Keith and others, have said what Hitler did was only consistent with what he believed about Darwin and evolution. You can go back and look at that fact. You know, it's interesting, I know a university lecturer in Australia, and he used to lecture at Sydney University, and he said, you know, with the Chinese students, they tell me that when somebody becomes a Christian, the first thing they say is, so you've given up Darwin. They equate becoming a Christian with giving up Darwinian evolution. Because the whole communist ideology is justified necessarily in a view of origins that says there is no God. How many people realise that really what you believe about where you came from affects your whole worldview? And you know, we need to grasp that. What you believe about where you came from affects your view of life, your view of your fellow man. And the more people are taught they're just a product of chance random processes, the more they're taught that they have animal in their ancestry, the more we'll expect them to see them acting like that. The more they're a product of chance, why not do our own thing? Why not write our own rules? We can do whatever we want to do. On the other hand, we understand when it comes to these issues of homosexuality, drugs, abortion, infanticide, pornography, violence, divorce, promiscuity and so on, they're not the results of animal in your ancestry, they're the results of sin. And as the results of sin, they should not be coddled and justified on the basis of evolution, but they should be condemned and judged, if not first repented, forgiven and forsaken. Let's sum all this up and see what we're saying. If you remove a basis in the absolute authority, if you remove the absolute authority from our culture, if we remove the creation basis, you'd expect to see all the absolutes collapsing. And we do. We see the Christian ethics falling around us. Christians are saying the world's getting worse and worse, but what's happening? Why is this so? Well, the more you remove the creation basis and the more you replace it with an evolutionary philosophy that says there is no God, the more you'll see the increase in all of these issues we've been talking about. And people say to me, but are you therefore blaming evolution? Are you blaming evolution for what's happening in society? Well, the ultimate cause is rejection of God as creator. But let's be honest and let's face reality. What has become the scientific justification for rejecting God as creator? Evolution. It's an anti-God religion that pervades our public schools. You know, when they tell us we can't teach creation in school because that's religion, but we can teach science, and they say we can't allow religion in schools, what they're really saying is we can't allow Christianity in schools. We've replaced it with another religion. And it's a religion that is destroying our society. Let's think of two castles. One castle's called humanism. Its foundation is evolution. And all those issues, abortion, homosexuality, and so on. Another castle beside it called Christianity. And its foundation is creation. You know, there's a real battle in our society. There are people in each castle with guns. Guns that are aimed. And let me tell you where the battle is. The evolutionists know, aim your guns at the foundation, knock out creation, the structure collapses. What do the Christians do? Well, by and large, they shoot at each other. They have their cannons aimed at each other. You can go to churches and see that sometimes. Cannons aimed across the aisle, or 3 or 4 aimed at the pulpit, or whatever it happens to be. Or they aim their cannons into nowhere, or they aim them at the issues. You know what I mean by aiming them at the issues? We want to fight the abortion issue. Well, it's wrong. Why? Because a fetus is human. Why is that? Because it's obvious. Well, why is abortion wrong? Because it's not right. Why isn't it right? Because it's wrong. How many people fight it at the issue level instead of saying, hang on, God's the creator, he sets the rules, let's see what his word says. The reason I'm against abortion is because God is creator. His word tells me, Psalm 139, Psalm 51, many other places, at the point of conception you're human, therefore abortion is killing. We are not the product of chance random processes. We are not just animals. God created us. What I'm saying is if we don't fight the issues at a foundational level, even if we get the laws changed today in regard to abortion or pornography, what happens when the next generation come through who so believe evolution even more and reject creation and Christianity? Won't they just change the laws back again? We have to fight it at a foundational level. There's a war on. There's a war in society. It's Christianity versus humanism. But you know, at a foundational level, it really is creation versus evolution. You know, the whole creation-evolution issue is not just a side issue. It's one of the most fundamental, important issues of today. And if Christians don't grasp what the foundational issues are, we're not going to be successful in the long run in evangelizing society. And you know, there's one other aspect to this. We want to be out there proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ because people say to us, well, that's the answer. We need to tell them about Jesus Christ. But you know what? 1 Corinthians 1 says the preaching of the cross is foolishness to the Gentiles but a stumbling block to the Jews. Foolishness to the Gentiles. What did Abraham say? If they don't hear what Moses and the prophets wrote, they're not going to be persuaded necessarily if one rose from the dead. You know, when you look in Acts, you find when Peter went to the Jews, his major message was, this Jesus Christ whom you crucified. You know, the Jews already believed in creation. They had a creation basis, didn't they? But when Paul went to the Greeks in Acts 17, when he mentioned the resurrection, they said, what strange doctrine is this? So what did he do? This altar you have to the unknown God, him whom you ignorantly worship. Let me tell you who he is. He's the creator. He's the sustainer. He made of one blood all nations that dwell on the earth. You know what Paul did? He started from a creation basis. You know why? Because the Greeks believed in evolution. They didn't believe in creation. They believed the gods evolved, you evolved. You know, New Tribes Mission and many other mission organisations know that when you go to a pagan tribe, you don't start with Matthew, Mark, Luke or John, you start with Genesis to tell them who God is, where they came from, where sin came from, where death came from and so on, so then they'll understand the message of the cross. I'd like to make a suggestion to you. Years ago, our society was like the Jews. It had a creation basis. It was taught through the universities and schools. Evangelists could come in and preach the message of the cross and get a tremendous response. But there's been a change, and the church has missed it. We no longer are like the Jews. We now have generations coming through who are like the Greeks. They don't have a creation foundation, and when you preach the message of the cross, that's foolishness unto them. And if we really want to be successful in reaching the pagans, we've got to start from the creation basis. Because evolution has become one of the biggest stumbling blocks to today's people being receptive to the gospel of Jesus.